Separate property and community and property in Texas can be very, very confusing, especially when they've been combined. And I'm going to give you an example of how they can be combined. You've been working for Raytheon, and you've got a 401k, and you've invested wisely, and you've got a bunch of money in your 401k, and then you meet somebody that you fall in love and you decide to get married, but you keep on working for Raytheon, which is great because I think everything I heard about Raytheon is they pay well and they're a good employer. And you can put a lot of money in your 401k. So here's what happens. That 401k balance on the day you got married was your separate property. The money that goes into it after you get married is community property, so that in divorce, your spouse is going to be entitled to a share of your 401k that was earned during marriage. Sounds easy. Nope, it's not so easy, because your 401k is not just cash. It's invested. It's invested in stocks and bonds and whatever your plan administrator invests it in, or what you direct them to invest it in. And those values change over time. And so the question is, was it my separate property that bought those stocks, or was it my community property that bought those stocks? So it gets very, very complicated. Here's the war story. I was having a mediation. The man was in that situation. I don't think he was with Raytheon, but he'd been with somebody a long time, and he had a very big 401k. About half of it had been earned before marriage and about half of it after marriage based on the time he'd been employed. So I came up with a number that I thought would be a fair number to calculate as the community amount. And he was like, no, I want to have an expert look at this. So I said, okay, I can refer you to somebody that does that kind of work. That's a forensic accountant. It'll cost you a whole lot of money, but if you want to do it, then fine. Let's recess the mediation and you get that information and we'll come back together and get the case settled. So he did. He spent $15,000. When I got the numbers back, they were off maybe $5,000 or $6,000 from the number I had given him. Now, I'm not saying that it wasn't okay for him to do what he did. Of course it was. And he feels more secure about that. And maybe that was what was most important to him. And I don't try to talk somebody out of doing something that they really feel the need to do in a situation like that. But it was $15,000 wasted that they could have spent some other way. So those are the kinds of complications you can get into when you're doing a divorce and you had property before and now you've got property during. So just keep those things in mind. I'm not going to say everybody should have a prenuptial agreement, but those are the things you can do in a prenuptial agreement that might make those decisions easier in the event of divorce.